Joining us next from Empire Life is Mike Stocks. Mike, who holds the title of Vice President and Chief Marketing Officer Retail at Empire Life. Mike is responsible for overall marketing leadership, strategic planning, and product strategy for the retail insurance line of business. He is a member of the Empire Life strategic leadership team and has been with Empire Life for 9 years. Mike has also been a consumer advocate for innovation, a champion for over 30 years, growing brands in 4 different industries. Mike is a graduate of the Ivy School of Business and lives in Cambridge, Ontario. Please join us in welcoming Mike Stocks. Mike, take it away.
Thanks, Greg. I appreciate the introduction, and I certainly appreciate the opportunity to join you here. We appreciate the partnership. The entire Empire Life team sends their regards, and I'm very excited to share with you some new insights from a study that was recently published in Q4. You know, when I thought about the theme of today's event, my mind immediately went to the concept that we refer to in marketing as a customer journey map. And so I've titled today's presentation, Uncovering Opportunities in the Digital Life Insurance Customer Journey. So let's go on that journey with me right now. For those of you who aren't familiar with what a customer journey map is, I thought I would just answer the question. So what is a customer journey map? It's a visual storyline of every engagement your customer has with your service, brand, or product. And when you think about your theme of attract, convert, and engage today, you can see how this image is brought to you from HubSpot, who are very well versed on customer journey maps, as well as CRM and inbound marketing. You can see a lot of the same terminology. The idea is to take strangers and attract them. They become prospects. Then you want to engage with the prospects and then become customers. And once they're delighted in the products and services that they're receiving from you, they're going to promote your business and build loyalty. And so we want to take a look at this research study with this lens. So how can a customer journey map help you? Well, by better understanding the journey map, you can help customers or consumers move through that, what we refer to as funnel of loyalty. So let's take a look at what I'm going to cover in today's presentation. The first section, I wanted to talk a little bit about this new research study, Life Insurance Customer Usage and Attitudes in 2022, post-pandemic. There's definitely some insights that advisors will be able to latch onto. And so the second part of that, the presentation, will be uncovering some of the insights and translating those into opportunities within customer journey maps. And then I'll round it out by talking a little about some tests that you could consider as you embark on launching 2022 and becoming even more effective than you have been in the past. So let's jump right in. Section 1. So I wanted to talk a little bit about this study from PMG Intelligence, and I have received permission to share this with you because it is a relatively new study and it is syndicated, so only people who have access to it. It's not public domain at this point, but have the opportunity to share some of the insights with you today. And I think what's interesting is I'll be excited to learn what Brent is going to present later from LIMRA. There should be some synergies between what I'm talking about and what he's talking about, and we can all look forward to hearing some of his insights from LIMRA, because we're a big consumer of LIMRA data and appreciate that. So I didn't want to talk about anything that he may be covering. So let's talk a little bit about some of these insights about COVID-19. So I'm going to start off by just talking a little bit about some of the level set data that many of us are familiar with. 2 in 5 view life insurance as important, regardless of the situation. And 3 out of 4 people see a place for life insurance. So, you know, this is just a regular sort of benchmark question that we like to ask consumers: which of the following would best describe how you feel towards life insurance? So among those who own both individual and group and life insurance, 3 in 4 feel that it is critical to have. So that's sort of the benchmark. Now let's talk a little bit more about what the study particularly uncovered as a result of COVID-19. So this questionnaire was done with a very large consumer panel in September of 2021. They compared the research data to 15 months previously in June 2022. And this question really jumped out for me. How much do you agree or disagree with the following statements about life insurance? The COVID-19 pandemic has highlighted the importance of life insurance. And so what we see from this is that 40% noted that life insurance was more important than before the pandemic. In June, the number was just 23%. And so when you zero in on the green bars in this lower chart, I know it's a little difficult to read, so I'll just highlight it. Those who own insurance, so that could be individual or group, younger people, and those with an advisor are more likely to feel that insurance is important as a result of the pandemic. So then you might be saying, well, what does that mean exactly? What was great about this particular study is that they gave us verbatim insights from the customers who participated in it. So I have a couple of excerpts that I thought were particularly relevant that you might be able to latch onto as you think about your customers. So here's one. Life insurance has helped many families who had policies with them go through the perils of losing a loved one during the pandemic. Another one, I always knew that life was uncertain, but when COVID hit, I realized that the end is nearer than I had anticipated. To keep my children having a secure future, it's important to have life insurance. A third one, we all realize one of us could die from COVID, and it's peace of mind knowing we have life insurance in case something does happen. And then lastly, the epidemic has made me realize that having insurance is important because illness and death are not predictable, and I wouldn't want to leave my family without anything. So what we found is that 3 in 10 say that COVID-19 has shifted their perceptions or their attitudes about life insurance. And so when we zero in on that 3 in 10, we find that they're more concerned compared to before the pandemic about their dependents being able to meet monthly obligations if they were to pass away. And 4 in 10 of those with only group life were more concerned than before. So again, here's an opportunity to think about touching base with existing clients to see, how are they doing? How have their needs changed? And are they, if they're more concerned, talking to them about topping up their life insurance or making changes? So as we just think about these insights, one of the things that we in marketing like to do is always to ask the question, I have a new data point, answer the question, so what? So in order to help us answer the question, so what, I'd like to put the lens of customer journey maps, because our theme really focuses on elements of a customer journey map, to see how we can uncover some opportunities. So again, what is a customer journey map? Here's a sample life insurance customer journey map. It's very generic. Many of us are familiar with the steps of the process. When somebody is a stranger to the industry, there's a trigger event. Then there's some awareness and research and consideration happens. Then there's an application, and through that application policy issue is when they become an owner. Then there's, throughout the journey, an annual review that maybe happens, some interactions with CSRs, renewal, and then ultimately that journey would come at claim time when the owner or the life insured has passed on. So the question that we all should be asking ourselves are, where are the opportunities that you or I can add value, educate, or provide advice in the customer journey map? So now let's take a look at a few more of the insights from this. So this was, we talked about awareness. Now we're going to transition into usage. Life insurance. So how much do you agree or disagree with the following statement about life insurance? Life insurance is easy to understand. Interestingly, only 3 in 10 feel that life insurance is easy to understand. So there is an opportunity for us as the industry to be able to educate consumers depending on what level they're at. It could be introductory information, it could be advanced sales concepts. There's opportunity here. And what's particularly interesting and has been validated with some of the LIMRA insights is that the group that is most interested in learning more is pre-pandemic, the group that was least interested. And that's the younger generation, and particularly the demographic cohort millennials. They're now the most likely to be interested in life insurance amongst any group post-pandemic. So we've got a new group of customers who are interested, but they need education on the importance of life insurance. So there's opportunity number one. Let's go a little bit deeper. 3 in 4 who are aware about life insurance know basic product information, that there's a lump sum payout, for example. So when you think about all of the other features of life insurance, it pays out to your beneficiaries tax-free. You can share in the profits of the insurance company through dividends, et cetera, et cetera. There's less and less awareness. So again, when you're thinking about education opportunities, you can talk about explaining the basics that will appeal to the majority, but as you know your customers best, you can figure out which elements of product features or benefits that you could be talking about, and sharing that through content. It could be social media, email, maybe even doing a podcast if you wanted to just do some education on this topic. So now let's transition from attitudes into what we refer to as usage or purchase intent or consideration. And the question here was, how much do you agree or disagree with the following statements? The medical requirements of life insurance are a barrier for you to purchase. This really gets down to that fear of needles and being averse to providing fluids in the process. 1 in 3 feel that the medical requirements are a barrier to purchase. And who's most likely? The people who are unaware. It's the younger respondents who need education. And we can talk about all of the great work that the insurance industry has done to increase no fluid limits throughout the pandemic. And that's going to benefit clients, it's going to benefit the industry, and it's going to help more Canadians get protected. So let's talk about another insight. About 2 in 5 individual life insurance owners are open to changing their insurance in the next 2 years. For me, this was one of the most significant insights in this study. So the question was, how likely are you to do the following in the next year or two? Switch from any of the life insurance companies you use, add additional life insurance, or consolidate the number of policies that you have. So when we take a look at the numbers here, it's pretty significant. 1 in 3 during the pandemic have increased their coverage, and 2 out of 5, or 40%, are open to changing their coverage. So the opportunity, reaching out to existing clients to inquire if their needs have changed, that may drive new sales opportunities for you. So again, what can we do with the insights that we learned from the study? Try to translate that into the customer journey map and how you are involved in the process. Another very interesting element from this study. So understanding the differences between owners and non-owners. And so there's a lot going on this chart, so I will summarize it with my opportunity statement. But the idea here is develop different marketing messages or communication approaches, could be education content for your different target audiences. So if you do prospecting on a regular basis, the messages that are most interesting or most likely to be a trigger event to increase the sense of urgency are, have you had a child recently? Have you increased your financial obligations, or have you had a change in marital status? Those are the 3 most motivating trigger events. But for owners of life insurance, it's a different approach. Give loved ones peace of mind. I have it offered through my workplace, and I wonder if it's enough. And then covering funeral expenses. So the positioning of the messages could be very different depending on who your target audience is. And that's an example of understanding the customer journey map. So what to do about your own customer journey maps. I don't claim to know your customers. This is really about getting you to think about looking at your business from a different vantage point. So when you look at this generic customer journey map, can you identify any opportunities? So review your book of business and identify those opportunities to create a trigger event perhaps, or start the process with a new prospect, or maybe even start the process with an existing client with something different based on their needs changing. So let's talk about part 3 of what I wanted to present to you today. So let's take a look at some life opportunities to test, learn, and optimize. This is a mantra that Empire Life has internalized, and it's part of our DNA. We're very inquisitive. We really like to take a look at the data and put some of our hypotheses to the test. And so we're doing tests on a regular basis, generally through digital tools, in order to learn more about our customers and so that we can optimize to get the best product offering out there. And so I would encourage you to just be open to the concept of test, learn, and optimize. So let's take a look at some insights that can maybe be leveraged to a greater extent. Another study that was published by a company called Litmus analyzed 8 billion emails that were sent during 2021. And a couple of highlights that they found specifically about the Canadian market was that the most popular time in Canada to read email is between the hours of 10 and 11, and that's local time. So, but the sad point is that the average time spent reading one of those emails is 10 seconds. So when you think about how much work and effort goes into creating an email that you want to communicate something very important to your customers, you have to think about how you're going to break through the clutter of what they're doing in their daily activities so that when they open your email, you have 10 seconds to get their attention. So what are some of the things that you could do around testing with email? So here's an idea: test time of day on open rate. So if you've got a prospect list and you do emails, pick a couple of different times of day and do a split test. See if the results improve by choosing a different time of day for deployment. Another big one, which is extremely important, is your subject line. So will you even get an open if your subject line isn't compelling? So you have to get the reader's attention. So what are some of the best practices? A couple of tips and tricks. Send them a question. So what's a question that you think might be interesting? And then, call to action in the subject line can be learn more. Another approach is to communicate an interesting factoid that will be included or fleshed out in more detail in the body of the email to get them intrigued. We call this a hook line in order to increase interest in the subject line. So again, just an opportunity for your consideration. So let's talk about some specific ideas for implementation. As I just talked about email, my first one is going to be test idea number 1, implementing an A/B split test for every email marketing campaign that you have. So I talked about subject line being important and time of day being important. So those ones are 2 ideas that you can do from a testing campaign. Then we refer to something called a CTA, and in marketing and in the insurance industry, we love our acronyms. So that stands for a call to action. And so there's a whole vast array of different opportunities you can use to test CTAs. It could be the actual copy. So is there a subject that you want to test, A versus B? So the shape of your CTA in the body of the article. Some people like to just put a link as a CTA. So test that with a button. And then interestingly enough, this study on response rates saw that in 2021, the most clicked on color for CTAs, interestingly enough, was orange. So change your CTAs in different colors and find out if you can get a higher response rate. So again, we talked a little bit about content. A couple of things you could vary on content would be the length. So how much do you want people to scroll down a page or read? You could take a voice that is positive versus negative. So talk about pain points or talk about solutions. And then the language that you use in that could be tested. And again, personalization is a big one right now in all communication when it comes to marketing, especially inbound. consumers are demanding that there's personalization. So put it to the test. Try a generic email versus a personalized email and see the difference in response rates. The idea being, keep it simple. Single variant tests are much easier to track results on than multivariate tests, but if you've got a complex CRM or email deployment engine, you can look at multivariate tests as well. So there's test idea number one. Test idea number two, share video content to engage a new target audience. So interesting, I'm a bit of a marketing geek, love the data and all that stuff. So we know that video improves conversion rates, generally speaking, in all categories across all industries, 2 to 3 times versus static content. So do you have a video? Have you created a video about your value proposition? Share that with the target audience. I've just highlighted one example because we've promoted this with IDC Win back in December. We have a program called Kids-Start, which is a great intergenerational wealth transfer concept for parents and grandparents to be able to fund a power policy on a juvenile. And so you transfer ownership when the child reaches age of majority. They've got cash values built up in their power policy, and especially when it comes to Empire Life's power products, Optimax Wealth and Estate Max, our dividend performance has been fantastic. The power fund, blew away the S&P significantly over the past 10 years, past 30 years, with a standard deviation that's a fraction of what the S&P is. So again, a great opportunity. We have a client video, Kids-Start client video, that you can use and share with your clients to maybe bring this as a new concept. Maybe you haven't thought about juvenile policies, but what's interesting about this concept is it appeals to a very large target audience, and you can talk to your customers and your clients about this concept. And I know that our account executives would love to explain it in more detail. So a shameless plug to connect with your Empire Life wholesaler to talk about this. And if you're on the SegFi side of the business, we also have some client videos on our Class Plus 3 product. And I know Alex just talked a little bit about Empire Life and the uniqueness of our GMWB product. And so the client video explains that, and you could share that as a potential video link. I'm not saying you have to use our content, but just giving you some examples for consideration. And, a simple reach out with, thought you might find this interesting as a grandparent, let me know what you think. It could be a conversation starter or an idea to take advantage of attracting, engaging, and converting. Let's take a look at test idea number 3, hosting a client webinar. So again, we recently had a webinar for IDC Win advisors that Peter Wouters, who heads up our tax and estate planning team, did in December, and it had great attendance. So thank you for those who participated. I know Peter's got a number of follow-up calls, as have our account executives, as a result of this. And so this concept of the family cottage has also been done as a client webinar. So, if you intend for your clients to transition the family cottage one day, beware, because there are tax implications if it is not the primary residence. And so we have a great concept that can really communicate this to clients. So, our tax and estate planning team is very much open to hosting client webinars for our preferred advisors, of which many are IDC Win advisors. So, reach out to your account executive. We have a process for booking our tax and estate planning team. I know they would love to be able to engage with you in this context in order to take advantage of hosting a client webinar and reaching a new target audience, again, to attract, engage, and convert. So let us see, we want to hear from you. All right, test idea opportunity number 4. Many of us have term books of business, and many of us know that many clients have options. They have the options to either renew, based on the rates that are published in the terms of the contract. They can convert to a whole life policy or a portion to a whole life policy, and some choose to actually replace that. And so we've partnered with LDA and IDC Win for the past several years in promoting this LDA campaign to increase your term business in 2021 or 2022. Right now, we have a program still ongoing. And what we found is that the advisors who took advantage of this program saw their growth rate more than double what the rest of the advisors who didn't participate growth rate. And that's really narrowed down to the Empire book of business. So in the context of any Empire advisor who participated in this program versus those who didn't participate, their business grew at twice the rate. So it's a sweeping generalization, and obviously there's some of you that had difference, but those were the average numbers. And so we've really tried to make it simple, fast, and easy. You know, that's part of our mission statement, to make insurance and investments simple, fast, easy, to be able to take advantage of tools like converting clients who are in year 7 or 8 of a term 10, or 17 or 18 in a term 20, giving you a list of prospects, converting those into opportunities with LDA, being able to share a visual cue that a client can easily understand. And then what's really unique about Empire's program with LDA is we have integrated the process so the data can be transferred from LDA into our fast and full life application without having to rekey any information. So we think that's an innovative approach, and we've been chatting with Greg and the team about other opportunities for additional integrations such as that, to make applying for life insurance simple, fast, and easy, and seg fund investments simple, fast, and easy with Empire Life. So again, if you haven't done this, and whether it's Empire or other books of business, I'd encourage you to take advantage of it because clients right now are more interested in learning about opportunities and if their needs have shifted due to COVID-19. So it's a great time to chat with them about that. All right, test opportunity number 5. And this is kind of a big one in the world of inbound marketing. So I would encourage folks who have the aptitude for doing more activities online, maybe even reach out to a co-op student if you don't have somebody on staff, to develop some unique content for your own practice and offer free tools to attract new prospects. This is one of the best ways to drive inbound traffic. And I thought I would give you an example so that you can understand what I'm talking about with a free tool. 2 years ago, we launched something called the Retirement and Savings Tool. Since launching that, it has now become the most visited page on the consumer side of our website of any content that we have developed. Why is that the case? Well, we looked at some of the consumer behaviors on questions that customers who were starting to save or starting to save for retirement specifically, and what questions were they asking? And we found that putting together a tool such as this answered common questions like, how much money do I need to save for retirement? It calculates that for you. And then the bigger question, which many of the other tools that are available in the market don't answer, is how long will my retirement savings last until I die? In other words, will I outlive my savings? And by answering some of those questions with this tool, we have seen the time spent on site, #1 page view, the amount of traffic that's coming to this, #1 destination. And so the idea being, if you can answer questions that your customers are asking, take advantage of that and promote it. You'll establish additional subject matter expertise for your customers. They'll come to you asking you more questions. That will in turn open up more opportunities for engagement and potentially opportunities for more sales. The main thing is you want to be able to meet the needs of your clients, and by just coming up with new ideas to start the conversation with them, it will open up more doors for you. So there you have it. 5 test ideas, a number of opportunities for you to think about for your business. I'm excited to have had the opportunity, and so I'll maybe just conclude with this following comment. You know, what are we trying to accomplish in bringing our mission statement of insurance and investments simple, fast, easy to life? Well, I think the way that we're going about that at Empire Life is to focus on 3 areas, and we refer to it as the 3Ds: distribution, data, and digital. Obviously, we want to partner with our distribution partners, and we have put our money where our mouth is, investing significant resources in independent financial advice channel and bringing unique solutions that are innovative and giving advisors the ability to take advantage and grow their business. Obviously, with things like our Fast and Full Life app and our Fast and Full Investment app, we've embraced digital in a big way. And it sounds like many of you have taken advantage of those tools, as we saw growth of those platforms grow by almost 30% with people using them for the first time last year. And then data. If you have any opportunities that you want to take advantage of leveraging data, we're open to partnership opportunities. Again, once again, reach out to your account executive partners. And, you know, I think the way that we like to try to make a difference is with our 3 Ps. The Ps are people. So our account executives want to chat with you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to them. Number 2 P is product. We think that we've got some great products and would love the opportunity to be able to talk to you about those. And then the last one is process. And hopefully today I've shared a little bit of some of the thinking that we have in process, and look forward to the opportunity of working with you in the days to come. So with that, I will stop sharing and turn it back over to you, Greg. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Mike, and great job as usual. And just a couple comments about your presentation. And I will tell you that the Kid Start video, I know a number of our advisors have used the Kid Start video in introducing children's insurance or grandchildren insurance. And I know that there's been some nice cases that have been opened up and settled using that video as a starting point. So thank you again for that. Empire Life has been a major contributor to our Win Big digital platform. And there's some great content that we're pushing out on a regular basis from Empire Life. And so look to the next information coming out. We just had a meeting with Empire late last week. And the last thing I want to mention is the Fast and Full digital application. And I know that when the pandemic started, we were around 40% of digital uses or Fast and Full usage. And I know that period ending December of last year, that we had 92% of our Empire Life applications were done digitally. So just a remarkable growth in that area. And, you know, obviously it helps advisors go from submission to commission as quickly as possible. So thank you again, Mike, on behalf of all of us at IDC.